Welcome back, you guys. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Swardik Mayanja, and on this channel I bring you news, current events, and fun topics that matter to nurses everywhere. I just want to before we get started, I want to apologize for the last 2 weeks. I didn't post anything. That's because I did 2 weeks of doing the night shift. Really 2.5 weeks. And it's insane. For all you nurses out there that have done the night shift, that do the night shift, you know that your sleep schedule, your eating schedule, I just had to fix everything in my life, and I only did it for 2 weeks. So now I'm switching back to day shift. Anyways, no excuses. I'll take the hit. I am sorry, but here we go. We'll have quite a doozy of a show today. So let's jump into it.
You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid. Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
So first story, we have to start with this, the Las Vegas shooting. It was an absolutely horrific mass shooting tragedy. As you all know, I'm not going to talk about the details of the shooting. The shooter, I don't even want to mention his name. It's a really sad thing. But just to start off the show, I just want to give my condolences. My thoughts, my prayers are with the families of the victims, with the actual victims, the survivors, those that are in critical condition, those that are just alive and just have to deal with the post-traumatic stress of the insanity that happened at that Jason Aldean, that country concert in Vegas. Just reflecting on what happened, it's nuts, right? It's absolutely nuts. As a nurse, as a healthcare provider, for those of you out there that do that, you know how much energy, how much time, how much money, how much of everything it takes to get us human beings, the patients we have, the people we care for, back to health. You know, I work at a rehab, and you know, the amount of time and energy it takes for us to get someone with a broken hip back to standing, back to walking, back to doing the daily functions they do is insane. You know, the amount of time it takes someone to get back from getting a stroke is insane. So you just get used to putting so much energy, so much time, so much effort, so much money into people to get them back to normal, right? You just forget how easy, how quickly someone can take that life away. It is scary to know that one human being did all of that damage, right? When someone first told me that it was one guy that did that kind of damage, the 50 plus and 500 plus injured, the 50 plus killings and the 500 injured, I was like, holy shit, he must have gotten into a car and drove through a crowd like that happened in Europe, or he must have had a bomb like what happened in Boston. But no, one guy, one gun, 1,000 feet away in some building did that kind of damage. It's disgusting. It's scary. My heart goes out to all the victims, to all of the families. My thoughts and prayers to go out to those who died. Sad day in America. As you all know, it's the worst that we've had. So we've got to change it. We've got to change that. And that's the second story of the day. So I don't want to talk about the details of what happened at Vegas, but I do want to talk about the future, what we can do moving forward so this shit never happens again. After the shooting, the American College of Physicians issued a statement calling mass shootings in America a serious public health issue and demanded a ban on automatic and semi-automatic weapons, which I think is the smartest thing that we can do right now. I mean, right away, after seeing that kind of damage, like I said, after seeing one person do what he did, the 50 killings and the 500 plus injured, it's a no-brainer. It's common sense. Anyone who's against that, it's just why, right? If you have a semi-automatic gun and if you're going hunting, right, there's only one type of hunting that can be done with a semi-automatic or an automatic or fully automatic gun, and that's hunting human beings. You do not need a semi-automatic gun to kill a deer, to kill a fish, to kill a bird, to kill whatever the hell you go hunting for, bears, you know, whatever it is. You use a semi-automatic gun, you're going to blow that animal to smithereens. You're going to have nothing to take home to hang on your freaking wall. You don't need those guns. No one needs those guns, right? Absolutely not. So I think that's just smart right off the bat. I think that's just where we should start. The American Public Health Association, the APHA, has also called for a comprehensive public health approach to address the issue of gun violence. And I love this. I read through it and through all the research for this video. I'm looking at gun violence. I thought that this was actually the most comprehensive, and I agree with this plan probably 90 to 95%. So I'm going to go through this step by step. It's an 8-step process. In the description below, there'll be a link where you can find out the details of each step / the entire plan comprehensively. to your heart's content. It's a beautiful, I love it. I love it. So let's get going. So number one, gun safety. Great place to start. Let's start with gun safety because we have so many of them. So establish a culture of gun safety. So the nation with the most guns, we must make sure that people are protected as a starting point. Let's insist on mandatory training and licensing along with safe and secure gun storage. This is just something for all you nurses out there, you know that this is something we learn in nursing school and we preach and we have to teach for all our patients that have guns. Gun safety, gun safety, gun safety. I don't own a gun. I have never shot a gun before. So when it comes to training, I think this is a very legitimate place to be. If you're going to buy a gun, the training needs to be at its highest. Make sure that it's safe, and then putting it away so those that you live with, family, kids, friends, whoever, don't come in your house, start playing cowboys and Indians or cops and robbers with the goddamn guns and end up hurting themselves. So number two, mental health treatment. To ensure accessible, high quality, and culturally competent and widely accessed mental health treatment, I think this is just the next step after gun safety. Mental health needs to be taken care of, and I think this is a very, very smart place to go as soon as we get a good lock on safety. Step number three, trauma reduction. So reduce children's exposure to violence and address the impact of trauma. And I love this. I love that they put this in there. If I ever have kids, I do believe that I would be much more willing to let my kids watch, crazy sex scenes or watch pornography, do all of that craziness before I allow them to watch the insane, violent TV that we are all so used to, right? I think sex, sure, it's going to happen sooner or later, and if I don't let them do it, they're going to have some kind of technology device where they're going to watch some crazy porn, right? I think that's just, you let them do it, at least if I allow them to do it, we could do some education with that. And when I'm talking about like the Game of Thrones, like the Deadpool movies, all of that craziness, it's too much. If I had to, what I'm basically saying is if I had to choose between a violent movie and a sexual movie for my kids to see, I would choose the sexual movie every 9 times out of 10. Obviously, bounds and reason here, bounds and reason. So step number 4, sensible gun laws. Ban high-capacity magazines, expand to 24-hour background check to make it universal, and reinstitute the assault weapons ban immediately. I like that, immediately. We must insist that assault weapons have no place beyond the battlefield, not in our schools, not in our movie theaters, not in our places of worship, and not in our streets and communities. That's just self-explanatory. I said earlier that I think, after what we just saw, one person doing that kind of damage, it's obvious that we need to cut that shit out. It's not necessary. You don't need that kind of gun, those huge magazines, those automatic, semi-automatic guns. Just don't need it. Number 5, comprehensive solutions. So charge the Department of Justice, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Administration, and the Department of Education to identify solutions in 90 days. So I agree with that. That's probably the 1% that I don't agree with. I don't understand why the 90-day restriction, right? Like the time restriction. Yes, I want a solution. Yes, I want all of this to be resolved, but I'd rather it be an actual solution. I know putting a time cap makes people work, especially with our Congress today. They're not going to do jack shit. It doesn't matter how long you give them. But to tell them that you need to come up with a solution in 90 days, it's a little bit pushy. I know there's 1,000,001 solutions out there already that you can just hand to these congressmen and have them decide. But I just believe if we are going to make a huge law change, if we are going to do some executive order, if we are going to do anything at all, let's try to make sure it's the best and not just the fastest, the first thing that we get. Step number 6, safe communities. Support citywide planning and implementation of comprehensive violence prevention plans that include prevention, intervention, enforcement, and rehabilitation and reentry. So this is great. I like this a lot as well because each city is different, each town is different, each state is different, right? So if you live down south, if you live in the Midwest and there's guns everywhere, your education, your citywide planning, community safety is going to be very different than if you live on the East Coast where there's barely any guns. There's a lot of guns in New Hampshire and Vermont. If you live in Boston, where I live, where there's very, very little guns. So if you live in a town or city where there's a lot of guns, you probably want to start with safety training versus if you live in Massachusetts and Boston, you probably want to start with just education on how to use guns and how to keep guns away because the vast majority don't have guns. So if you do go somewhere where there's guns, these are the things you need to know That's there. Step number 7, public health solutions. Recognize gun violence as a critical and preventable public health problem. Gun violence is a leading cause of premature death in the country. And I was blown away when I found this out, right? So we all know that heart disease is the number one killer in general of everything here in the States, and I think pretty much the world right now. I'm not 1,000% sure, but definitely in the States, heart disease is the number one killer. Before reading this, before doing this research, I still was in the camp that thought that car accidents, driving under the influence, especially with the new amount of people, the increase of car accidents with the texting and driving, I thought that car accidents was the number one premature killer of adults these days. But it's not. It's guns. And should I be surprised? Really? I shouldn't. Of course not, because of the amount of mass shootings we have. And then the final step, unshackle the CDC. Restore the CDC's freedom to study the issue and provide science-based guidance. I read this and I was like, wait, what? I'm confused. Why is it that the CDC can't do science-based research on guns, gun violence? I had no idea. I just did not know that the NRA had that much pull. Of course, I knew they had millions and billions of dollars that they funnel into lobbyists that, that push Congress, mainly the right. I did know that, but I had no idea that they just said, nope, CDC is not allowed to do any science evidence on it. Crazy. It's a no-brainer. This needs to it needs to go. It needs to go. I think this is one of the best, most comprehensive strategies to attack gun violence here in America, and I love it because it's nuanced, right? It's not let's get rid of all the guns. It's not let's make sure that anyone and everyone can have guns, right? It's not just background checks for everybody. No, it's comprehensive. It covers all its bases. It's a smart way to go about it. It might not solve everything. It definitely won't solve everything. As long as we have guns around and people that are sick, people that are crazy, shit happens. But if we put some of these strategies into action, I believe that the number of gun deaths, mass shootings, suicides, all of these things that happen because of guns will go down. And I really do hope we can get this passed. I know it's a long shot, especially with who we have in office, who controls the Congress, who controls the Senate. Chances are very low, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. So staying in Las Vegas, I just do want to shine a light on one of the victims of the shooting. Horrible. There's 59 people that died in this crazy shooting, and I'm going to put a link below where they have a list of all the survivors, but I just want to shine a light on one of them. His name is Sonny Melton, and he saved his wife. He actually saved his wife, guarding her when the shooting happened, so she is survived, and sadly he is gone. So his employer, Henry County Medical Center in Paris, Tennessee, said, according to the White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders, he died shielding his wife, Dr. Heather Melton, who survived. It's the ultimate sacrifice. The ultimate sacrifice. So when Heather was asked about this, she told NBC that he saved my life. He grabbed me and he started running when I felt him get shot in the back. She continued by saying, I want everyone to know what a kind-hearted, loving man he was. And thank you for letting us know. I mean, this is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. I've never been, knock on wood, and never want to be in a situation like that. But I do know when situations like that happen, you switch from rational thinking. You switch from logic to going into instinct. And his instinct was to cover his wife, to protect his wife from the crazy shit that was happening. I think it just shows how amazing of a human being he was. Heather, thoughts and prayers are with you. Your husband obviously was a good man, a great man to have protected you when it came down to it. Instead of running or hiding under a car or a tree or whatever, he decided, no, I'm going to protect my wife. I'm going to protect the person I love. As a nurse, and yes, Sonny Melton was a registered nurse. As a nurse, this just makes me feel absolutely amazing. Obviously, there's all these victims are amazing in their own right. I just wanted to shine a light on Sonny. Thank you for what you're doing. Prayers and thoughts are with you, Sonny. Heather, You have a great husband. You had a great husband. So moving on to some much lighter news, actually some great news. This is moving to my elderly folk. I work with senior citizens. I love them. I love them to the core of me, to the absolute core of me. When I started being a nurse, I told myself, I'll never work with senior citizens. Now all I want to do is work with senior citizens. I think they're the greatest people on the planet. And some good news, some great news, some truly inspirational senior citizens that I'm going to end the show with today. So number one, the ICU Grandpa. I know you guys have probably seen him. He went viral. He was all over Facebook. He was all over everywhere. He was everywhere. The ICU Grandpa.
He's known as the ICU Grandpa.
Some of my guy friends ask me what I do here, and I tell them, well, I hold babies. Sometimes I get puked on, I get peed on. It's great.
Who takes care of babies? His name, David Deutchman. So David Deutchman has been a volunteer with the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta for more than 12 years. After retiring from a career in international business, he says he found himself in the NICU and the PICU units of the hospital. So what he does is he goes to these units. He goes to the PICU and the NICU twice a week, every week. He said most of the time I'm cradling babies from single moms who have other children. They have to go home and they have to, take care of their older children, right? The children that can't take care of themselves. Most of the time he's taking care of these babies that are sick, very sick. If you know anything about infants, and if they're born with a drug addiction, born from a drug addicted mom, they crying and screaming 24/7 if the mom needs to sleep for a couple of hours, but the baby needs some caring. He can be there to cradle these babies. Obviously there's nurses around, but there's just so many nurses. They can't cradle every baby 24/7 all around the clock. So he's there just to volunteer. This is the greatest thing I've ever heard, right? If I could do anything when I'm done to give back, to volunteer, I mean, forget all that noise. I'm going to go to Children's Hospital right now to see if I can go ahead and cradle some of these absolute gorgeous babies. I saw this and I thought it was absolutely amazing. No experience cradling babies, infants at all. I mean, outside of my siblings, of course, but very different than actually cradling newborn infant babies. For those nurses out there, even for those student nurses that have done the LND, labor and delivery rotation. My first experience holding a baby that wasn't part of my family. I mean, it's like life-changing, right? One of my classmates handed me the baby for me to cradle, and you look at these babies and you don't just see the cutest thing the planet has to offer, but you look at these babies and you see the future, you see potential, you see the greatest thing ever. And I mean, that's what he does twice a week, every week. I think the fact that he's doing it, I mean, he's a businessman. You all have your stereotypes about businessmen, and the fact that he's a man alone, just the fact that he's a man, forget about what he did, right? The fact that he's a man just made my heart melt, right? Because we all know the stereotypes. Oh, men don't know how to change diapers. Men don't know how to carry babies. And yeah. Cut that bullshit out. I mean, look at the ICU Grandpa. He's just the cutest thing ever. I mean, it's the cutest thing ever, right? Those are the two populations I want to work with the most, and to see them work together so well, it makes me smile. I love it. I love it. So when he was asked about it, he said, it's been wonderful because it gives me something to do that has a meaning to it. And that's it. And he says he doesn't do it for fame. He says, well, of course he doesn't do it for fame. He's been going and volunteering for the past 12 years. He was just recognized. One day, someone took a picture of him cradling a baby, and then his story went viral. He's doing it because he cares. He says it means something to him. And this is something like I would most definitely, absolutely love to do. The ICU Grandpa, David Deutchman, you are the hero of the goddamn day. I mean, the hero of the week. I think it's just a great. I mean, it's biased. I'm biased by saying that because this is something I want to do. Lifting male stereotypes left and right. You're the man, goddammit. You're the true man right here. And then lastly, last story of the day, another elderly senior citizen that I get to shine some light on. It's a 96-year-old senior citizen who finally gets to live her dream of being a nurse. Imagine that, right? 96 years old, and she finally gets to be a nurse. So she's from New Jersey, and she dropped out of high school. So she was never able to, get her nursing degree, nursing certification. She dropped out of high school when she was 13. The Mid-Atlantic States Career and Education Center, which also helped Auntie Lee, that's what she goes by, her nickname is Auntie Lee, obtain her diploma, was able to place the senior with the Salem County Health Department. There she spent the day handing out paperwork for health screenings. So obviously she wasn't going there, in the OR handing the tools. She wasn't doing any treatments or passing out any meds. The lady is 96, but the fact that they allowed her to live her dream of becoming a nurse, that just, it makes me, it gives me hope in humanity, right? When I just did 2-3 stories on Las Vegas, and it just rips you into shreds. But these kind of stories, this story and the story about the ICU Grandpa really make me feel like, yes, there is hope in this world, right? And the hope lies with these senior citizens. So, Auntie Lee, congratulations. You're a nurse. You got to be a nurse for a day. I love what I do, and this is the reason I love what I do. Bonnie Hogert, the nursing supervisor at the healthcare department, she said when she was asked about the situation, she said she had, speaking about Auntie Lee, she had to get up and go to follow her dream and get her high school diploma. So knowing she wanted to be a nurse, we wanted to help her in that aspect to make her dreams come true today. So we were very happy to be a part of that. There's nothing more to say, and that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know what you guys think about any of the stories today. I absolutely love it. I'd love to know what you guys do. If you are retired and you are watching this video, thank you very much. But tell me, what do you do to fit in your day? What kind of activities do you do? Do you want to be a nurse? Do you hand out health screenings? Do you cradle babies at your local children's hospital? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you aren't retired, just tell me what you plan on doing. What have you heard doing? What would you like to do when you're done doing all this crazy stuff? Love you guys. Thank you. Catch you later. Sorry about the 2 weeks of nothingness, but I am back. Mwah! And in a big way.